Hi, welcome to Cocos Creator Introduction Class 5. Last time we created the treasure type and the org type, and we used them where we could. It's important to remember that we could not use the treasure type for treasures because there's more than one. This array is not a treasure. This array is a list of treasures. First challenge today is going to be to create a room object type. It should have ID, org, treasure, and status. I want you to have a look at what we did with the person here. The person has an address here. The address is of type address, which we defined here. Note that every time I create a type, I start with a capital letter, and every time I create a property, I start with a lowercase letter. So let's go here. Try to do this, pause the video, continue when you're ready. Okay, so I want to create a type type room. Let's see, it should have an ID. The ID is a number. It should have an org. The org is of type org, which is the one we created up here. So the lowercase means that this is a property of the room. The room has an org. What type is an org? It is an uppercase O, org. This one up here. Next thing it has is a treasure, and that is of type treasure, just like with the org. And it has a status, and that's just a string. And I can delete this. We don't do anything with the room just yet. We have an error here about rooms, but just like with orgs, rooms is a list of rooms. Rooms is not a single room. I know it's a little bit confusing, but this plural S is important here. The next thing we'll look at is adding types to these arrays that we just talked about. Cannot have the type of the type. So let's go to our TypeScript file and let's have a look at it. If I let my array equals, and then I'm going to put some values in here. I'm going to put a number, another number, I'm going to put a string, and I'm going to put a boolean. And let's format this. If I mouse over my array, it just says it can be strings or numbers or booleans inside the array. I want to limit my array to only have one type. Or let's see here. Let's test that this is true actually. My array dot push. What do we want to push? I think I want to push another number, 89. And let's console log my array. Oh, let's compile the TypeScript. Now it has been compiled. Control Shift B if you don't remember. Go to PowerShell. I want to run my code, so it's in my out directory. And it's the types. Let's see what it says. 12, 24, hello world, false, and 89, because I just pushed 89 into my array. If I want to say it can only be of a specific type, I want to say it should only be numbers. I need to add a type right here, just like we did with our person and address type up here. So I can say it's an array. What does it say? Yeah, if we just do that, we'll need some more information here. But if I want to say it should be an array of numbers, what I do is I write number array. And now this can only be, it can only have numbers inside this array, because I said specifically my array is an array of numbers only. And now it will complain here. It will say string is not assignable to type number, because I'm trying to put a string into a position where only a number can go. So this will no longer work. Let's comment this out and let's make a new one. Let my array is a number array, and it has some values: 12, 24, 36, 48. And now I can push 89 into this array. Let's try to run the code. So add building, it's done. I go to PowerShell, I can just use arrow here, arrow up, and it says 12, 24, 36, 48, 89. If I try to push something here that is not a number, I will push hello, and I mouse over, it says the same thing. The string I'm trying to push in cannot be assigned here because only a number can go here, which is exactly what I wanted. So let's change this back to 89. Now down here, I want to create an array of persons. We have some persons up here. So the challenge here is create an array of persons. Add person 1 and person 2 to the array. I'll give you a few seconds to pause and do this. Okay, so what do we want to do? We want to create an array of person. I will call that persons. So it's plural, there's more than one person here. And it's of type person array. Now there's two ways to do it. I can just say it's an empty array, and then I can persons.push. Let's push person 2 here, and then let's log persons. And let me comment out this console log up here as well, so we don't get spammed in our console log. Build. It's built. I will go back here, run the code, and it says there is one person here. Person has a name, an age, is a student, and there's a nested object here that says this is the address of this person. So that's one way to add persons. Just like with numbers, I can also just put some values right here. So I will put person 1 when I initialize persons, and save and build. And PowerShell. Oh. And now there are 2 persons in my array. The next challenge should come as no surprise. Please add array types to orcs, treasures, and rooms. Notice that these are lowercase. Give you a few seconds to pause and do the challenge. Let's look at orcs first. I have my constant orcs. I need to give it a type. What type does it have? It is an orc array. Oh, happy is true here. Happy is true and happy is false. And it says object little room may only specify known properties, but happy does not exist in type org. Did you mean to write is happy? So let's go up and look at the org. It has name health, max health, status, and is happy. And my org that I added down here just had happy. So this is actually wrong. I used the wrong properties here. And it's exactly true. I meant to write is happy. So let's go up and copy is happy and replace here and here and here. What does it say now? Boolean is not assignable to type string. Oh, okay. So I have is happy is true, is happy is true, is happy is false. It's a Boolean. And up here in my org, I said, oh, is happy has to be a string. That is actually a mistake. So let's write Boolean here instead. And now we don't have any errors anymore. So these were errors we had in our code for a while now. But JavaScript did not know to tell us the mistake, and TypeScript did not know it was a mistake until we said it specifically has to be an array of orgs. Let's do the same with treasures and see if we get any interesting errors here. So it's a treasure array. That looks okay. Did we get anything new down here? No. So we're going to hope that works. And rooms is going to be a room array. I saw a lot of new interesting errors pop up down here. Let's have a look at this error right here. What does it say? Room is possibly undefined. It says here, my constant room can be of type room or undefined. So in my code here, if room is undefined, I'm trying to get the status of something that doesn't exist. I'm saying, on something that doesn't exist, give me what status it has. And TypeScript is saying that doesn't make any sense. If I go up here to my room, you can say it's room or undefined. The reason is this find here. When we get the ID we are looking for in our explore room, then we go down to our rooms and we are looking for the room in our list of rooms up here. We're looking for the rooms, for the room that has this ID. What find does, if that room does not exist, it just returns undefined instead. So find will go through each room in the list one at a time. As soon as it finds the correct one, it will say, here you go. If it goes through the entire array and does not find the correct one, it will return undefined. So this room here can be a room or it can be undefined. We need to say, if it is undefined, I do not want to do this down here. So we're going to do something called type narrowing. I can say, if room is exactly undefined, if room is exactly undefined, then I want to do something. What I want to do is I want to return. When I return here in the middle of my code, it's sort of like a gatekeeper. So imagine there's a door right here, and this is our guard. And he says, if room is not defined, don't come in this door, go away. And explore room will finish. Where did we call explore room? Right here. It will finish and we'll just go to the next line of code here. I think I want to be a little bit helpful, and for now we're just gonna console.log and we're gonna say room with ID, and we're gonna add ID does not exist. So this is the string interpolation we talked about a while ago. Notice that I used this quotation mark. It is the one that is to the left of the 1 key on your keyboard. That allows us to just input values in the middle of our string like this. So up here, my room has the type either room or undefined. Right here we say, if it is undefined, go away. So now if I look down below that, my room can only have the type room. This is called type narrowing. We had multiple types and we removed one of them. There were only two. So when we removed one, we're down to one, which we know is a room type, which has a status. So now this code will no longer complain that it's possible to have a mistake right here. Let's save. Let's compile the code. And let's try to run it and see what happens. Node out org attack. It works. We still have this error in our code. It says we cannot push room to an array of rooms here because this room has an ID that's a number. It has an org that is either an org type or undefined. And that is what this explains. It says the org property is not compatible. It says org or undefined is not assignable to type org. Type undefined is not assignable to type org. So the bottom line is actually the most important one for our purposes. If I go up here and look at my room type, it says that my org has to be a type org, but it's possible down here to have an undefined org. It's this pop that does that. Pop, like a pest dispenser, it takes the last element in our array and removes it and gives it to us. But if there are no elements in our array, if our pest dispenser is empty and we try to get one, we don't get anything. But we're not allowed to put nothing into our org. It has to be an org in order to add it to our room. So the challenge is to do some defensive coding here. And remove this error. This is going to be a difficult challenge. If you can solve it here, I'll be impressed. Otherwise, I will give some hints after this short break. So pause and try. Okay. One thing you might try is to go down here and say org.pop and then check, assign this to something. Let new org is org.pop. But both of these are going to remove an element from our array of orgs. So I'm not going to get the same org here. This is not the correct place to do this. In here, maybe I could do a test here, but this is just a place I'm allowed to assign some things. I'm not allowed to write code in here. So what can we do? I need to know if the org actually exists. I think I need to do before I even make the room here. So the hint is I'm going to create a test org here. This is where I'm going to collect my org from my orgs array. Now I can do some testing before I even get down to this piece of code. So this is the easier version of the challenge. Pause the video and try if you did not succeed before. Okay, let's check if the test org is undefined. If it is, I'm gonna return. Let's put a message here as well. Console.log. What should we write? There were no orgs available. So now we have a gatekeeper here. We are on this sad path. Now when I get down to my room instead of saying that the org has to be org.pop, the org is going to be my test org. I only get to this piece of code if the org actually exists. If it is undefined, it is being narrowed away right here. So now my room has a number. We know that test org is an org if we get to this piece of code. We have treasure and we have a status, which is just what we want. So now it will no longer complain here. I have a valid room that I can add to my array of rooms. I will save. I will compile the code again. I'll go to my PowerShell and let's see. And the code still runs. That's all I needed. So that was it for this week. I will see you next week.